afternoon, Commissioners. We have an item proposed for designation. It's LP 2547, the proposed Park Avenue Historic District, Borough of Manhattan. Matt Postal presenting.
The proposed Park Avenue Historic District consists of approximately 68 buildings from the northeast corner of 79th Street to the northwest corner of 96th Street. Park Avenue is significant as a residential boulevard where some of New York City's finest apartment houses were constructed in the first decades of the 20th century. Designed in the popular revival styles of the time, these high-rise buildings are attributed to some of the best-known apartment house architects of the era, including J.E.R. Carpenter, Emery Roth, George and Edward Blum, Rosario Candela, George F. Pelham, Schwartz and Gross, and Robert T. Lyons. The proposed district also encompasses a small number of low-rise residential buildings and early 20th century mansions. Park Avenue was initially laid out as 4th Avenue in the 1811 Commissioner's Plan of New York City at a time when the northern parts of Manhattan were only very sparsely settled. In 1831, the New York and Harlem Railroad was chartered, bringing trains to 4th Avenue. At-grade tracks made for hazardous and unpleasant conditions, worsened by the introduction of steam locomotives in 1837. At this time, 4th Avenue was widened from 100 to 140 feet. Following the construction of Grand Central Depot in 1871, legislation was passed requiring that the tracks be sunk below street level. Construction of the 2-mile-long tunnel began in 1872 and was completed in 1875. Though the sinking of the railroad tracks helped spur the construction of modest row houses, tenements, flats, institutional, and religious structures, development continued to be stifled by noise and dirt from the trains. In 1887, the Board of Aldermen voted to rename the blocks north of 42nd Street Park Avenue. Despite such changes, it was not until the railroad was electrified in 1906 and the tracks were mostly covered that Park Avenue became a truly desirable residential boulevard, attracting more upscale development for which its rival, 5th Avenue, was already well known. The landscaped mall that divides the avenue would become the street's signature element, thereby assuring this corridor's prominence among New York's great urban boulevards. Today, Park Avenue from 79th to 96th Streets is primarily a street of 11 to 17-story apartment houses. The earliest building, constructed in 1907 to 8, is located at 925 Park Avenue, a 14-story structure at the northeast corner of 80th Street. Construction in the district reached a high point in both 1924 and 1926, when approximately 7 new buildings were finished each year. The district contains notable religious institutions. Located on the west side of the avenue, the Church of St. Ignatius Loyola, a New York City landmark, and South Reformed Church, now known as the Park Avenue Christian Church, stand 1 block apart. Following the Second World War, some modern-style apartment houses were built in the proposed district. Several new apartment houses have recently been erected in the district. Designed in various modern and postmodern styles, these slender structures typically occupy narrow mid-block and corner lots. Despite some window replacements, the buildings in the district retain a high degree of architectural integrity, with only a small percentage of ornament removal and penthouse additions.
Okay, thank you, Matt. And I'm going to jump in here now and do a summary of a few items, and then we'll have a discussion and take a vote. And I appreciate everybody being here for this purpose. So this public meeting, not a public hearing. We've had public hearings, and we're at the public meeting stage, which is an open meeting with a discussion, presentation that we've just seen, discussion by the commissioners, and a vote. And I want to add a few things, though, before we, or as we discuss generally the what I consider to be a highly meritorious historic district. proposal and soon to be a historic district, I hope and believe. So in this case, as in most historic districts, actually, we get requests from owners of buildings as we go through an extensive outreach process to have their building, that extensive outreach process takes many forms. It's commentary on the architectural and historic features of their property, things that might be brought to our attention, things we bring to their attention, et cetera. It also includes, not surprisingly, that some owners of property within a proposed historic district ask to have their buildings either excluded from the district itself, or in some cases, they request that the buildings be identified as no style. And I want to go over those requests briefly. And somebody's going to flash up on the screen, I think, hopefully they will. It will not be I. But 1036 Park Avenue, first, is a modern style building. It's part of a series of well-designed modern apartment buildings that continue the dominant typology of this district and contribute, I believe, to its overall history as a high-rise residential enclave. And since we did get a request that it be excluded, based on looking at it and then a quick summary, recommend that this building remain in the district and be called with a modern style, called a modern style building. If anybody wants to jump in as I go through these, feel free. We'll also follow this with a discussion generally of the entire district. Everybody, any issue with including this building? Okay, so onward to St. Ignatius Loyola Complex.
The Archdiocese of New York has requested that the Loyola School and Rectory, as well as the Grammar School at 48 East 84th Street, be excluded from the district. And this is the location of the Grammar School,
Yep.
which occupies the west section of the tax lot and does not join Park Avenue, and it was accidentally included in the district.
Right, as a calendaring issue, which occasionally happens. It's a natural outgrowth of that process. So on this complex, the Loyola School, 978 Park, Renaissance Revival style building, and Parish Hall Rectory, 980 Park, Second Empire Gothic Revival style building, are high-style institutional buildings with elevations on Park Avenue that contribute to the sense of place of the corridor. And I would recommend that these buildings remain within the district. Okay, and the Grammar School, which Matt will jump to, 48 East 84th, which does not face Park Avenue, was, as Matt said, inadvertently, accidentally, whatever the term is, unintentionally included within the boundaries. And this district does not include any other buildings on the side streets that do not face Park Avenue, and therefore I would recommend that their request to remove the Grammar School from the proposed district be concurred with.
I agree.
Okay? And now we will move to, where are we?
The Park
Yeah.
Avenue Christian Church has requested that the 1962-63 annex be identified as having no architectural style. The annex occupies a portion of the site that originally contained the rectory, a parish house located at the rear of the lot with a courtyard between the two structures. This is the 1916 map that shows the floor plan from that period. The only remaining portion of the original 1909 to 1911 rectory is the one southern bay on the eastern facade, which retains its Gothic Revival style elements on the lower stories. The two northern bays, the remainder of that building, and the parish house were all demolished in the early 1960s and replaced by a new 6-story building shown in yellow that encompasses the entire footprint of the site formerly occupied by the rectory, courtyard, and parish house. The Park Avenue Christian Church has requested that the 1962-63 annex be identified as having no architectural style.
Okay, thanks, Matt. And as everyone knows in this room, and outside this room, there's been extensive review and discussion of this building, and the testimony and letters concerning it have been given to everyone at this table for extensive and further review. And the 60s alterations to the annex, in my judgment, left only a fragment of the 1909-11 rectory, and I would recommend that the current 6-story building, which replaced the smaller rectory and parish buildings, does not contribute to the sense of place of the proposed district, and therefore be called a no-style building. Obviously, it stays in the district, unlike a couple that we've done prior, that we've just discussed, but I believe, based on staff recommendations, everything I've read, everything I've heard, that's how it should stay in the district when we do our building description. Discussion on that, Libby?
I regret that decision, but I'm convinced that because it remains in the district and will continue to be governed as a site by this board, that nothing egregious will happen as a result, and I would also hope that the fragment is preserved in some way.
Okay, Diana?
Yeah, I feel that if you're just looking at the presentation, and, you know, of course, we've regarded this for some time, both on-site, I've been to the site, and I've also considered it. I just feel that fragment is just overwhelmed by everything that's transpired from the 1960s construction, and that it doesn't warrant making that entire piece, you know, designating that fully, and that by keeping it within the district as a no style, we have the opportunity to continue to review it. So I think that's the right decision in this case.
I agree. It remains in the district, and any proposed changes will be within our reviews.
Okay, Joan?
Yeah, I agree with that also, that it does remain in the district. And this way, we have a choice, we can rule on, you know, how sensitive the alterations are to that building. So I think that's a good decision.
And I agree that its being in the district is critical to the preservation of the church and the relationship of whatever comes in place of the modern buildings to the district. But I think, as Libby had said, it's important that the fragment is noted as not being, in my opinion, of not being a no style, and that and we all know that this is all about what's coming on this site, and I think that by specifically calling out in some manner the fragment and the relationship, you know, it's like tripartite relationship that was the original design, where you have the church, a spanning zone, and then the bay window, secondary gable, which is retained in the 1963 version, that relationship would be, for me, something that I would hope would be carried forth in any potential development on this site, and that the fragment would be retained and not just as a facade, but as a volume.
Roberta, want to comment on this?
Yes, I also, well, I think that in terms of style, that to me, even though we're saying we want to give it the title of no style, that clearly, to me, it has a style, and that that style actually contributes to what you see when you look at the main body of the church, and that the so-called fragment and the infant are not so different, and that contextually they work together. You know, I think that what's happened behind it, what's called out as the annex building, is egregious, is terrible. But at the same time, one of the things about it is that it at least has a distance from the front, from Park Avenue, and from the church itself, so that it allows you to appreciate the church building as such, the entire building. And so, I think that we should probably
Okay.
say it as
Okay, so let me move to Matt, please. Thank you.
The Hunter College, the owner of 1200 Park Avenue, has requested that the school building be removed because its mass massing and style does not fit into the proposed historic district. The Hunter College Campus School building occupies the former site of the 8th Regiment Armory, later part of the Squadron A Armory, located on the west side of Park Avenue between East 94th Street and 95th Street. The school was constructed between 1967 and 1971 after the armory was largely demolished.
Okay, Hunter College, let me jump to this. Everyone at this table has walked and ridden and jogged and whatever you say, extensively into this area with specific attention to what's shown up there on the screen. And it's my thought that the Hunter College building at 1200 Park and the 1959-61 apartment building across the street at 1199, which was excluded, by the way, from the original Carnegie Hill, or not the original, but the Carnegie Hill Historic District extension of 93, do not contribute to this district. The Hunter building's massing, design, and style are unlike the predominant apartment building form that has defined the district as we've seen it, as it's been laid out here today, and as we've studied it over the months and years of our deliberation. And finally, 1199 Park, I believe, is also an undistinguished design, and that together they create interruptions in the streetscape that undermine the sense of place of the northern portion of the proposed district. Accordingly, and as a result, my conclusion is the area does not have the same sense of place as Park Avenue below East 91st, and therefore would recommend that the area encompassing 1192, 1200, 1220, 1230, 1199, 1221, and 1235 Park Avenue be removed from the calendaring portion of what we're seeing here from the proposed historic district boundaries when we vote on it. Everybody, anybody take issue with that? Okay, so, yes.
I think
Yeah.
that building, when I walk the site,
Yeah.
it just doesn't, it's not appropriate to fit in with the buildings that we are holding as treasures, really. And it's sort of a brutal style, almost 1960s. So I'm very happy with it.
Okay. Thank you all, and I will do this motion to designate the Park Avenue Historic District in the Borough of Manhattan. I move that the Landmarks Preservation Commission designate the Park Avenue Historic District, Borough of Manhattan as modified, as a New York City Historic District because it contains buildings and other improvements which have a special character and special historical and aesthetic interest and value, and which represent one or more eras in the history of New York City, which caused this area, by reason of these factors, to constitute a distinct section of the city. And because the historic district is part of the development, heritage, and cultural of the city, state, and nation, all is set forth in the designation report for LP 2547, dated April 29, 2014. I also move to modify that designation report as follows, and pursuant to the discussions just taken place at this table. 1010 Park Avenue Christian Church Annex be described in the designation report for the Park Avenue Historic Districts as a no-style building. That 1192 Park Avenue, Block 1505, Lot 40, 1200 Park Avenue, Block 1506, Lot 21, 1220 Park Avenue, Block 1507, Lot 33, 1230 Park Avenue, Block 1507, Lot 40, 1199 Park, Block 1523, Lot 1, 1221 Park Avenue, Block 1524, Lot 1, and 1235 Park Avenue, Block 1524, Lot 7501, condo lots 1001 through 1062, be excluded from the boundary description of the Park Avenue Historic District because this small northern section of the proposed district, bisected from the large southern section, much larger southern section by the Carnegie Hill Historic Districts, becomes attenuated from the special and distinct sense of place of the district due to the significant presence of buildings that are not of the type that characterize the district or do not contribute to it. That the boundary of the historic district exclude the building located, also going back to our earlier discussion, located at 48 East 84th Street, AKA 46 to 50 East 84th Street, behind St. Ignatius Church, Block 1495, Lot 33 in part, which was calendared in error inadvertently or unintentionally, and that the district be designated with the exclusions herein described and with the boundaries as set forth in the commission's designation report and shown on the attached map. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's approved. Thank you. All right. Back to the preservation agenda. Sarah will come back in. Thank you, everyone, again,